YouTube. I'm back after what, a year hiatus, and it's a doozy. I've still been flying a lot. I've been doing my normal thing. I've been building the kit box. I've been flying the Yamaha powered phaser kit box. All is normal, except I had an engine out. My first one. 5 years reliable service. 5 years in this Rotex 447. It finally quit on me at the worst possible time. I mean, you're talking, I don't know, right on takeoff, maybe 2 seconds into the flight. I was probably 40-foot AGL. Engine quit right over a cornfield, nowhere to go. But you know what? We planned for this, and we knew what to do, and not a scratch on me. Plane, not so much. That's to be expected, but it did its job well, protected me, and it could be fixed. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it yet, but we're going to talk about it. So I'd actually planned on making a flying video, believe it or not. Of all the days to have a camera on the Ultralight when I went flying, I decided to strap the GoPro 360 on the front. I'm gonna go land in my favorite 5 local spots and let's make a video, because people have been commenting, asking for a video, and I decided, hey, I haven't made a video in a while. I'm just gonna make it, and I had the camera on. I had the camera on when it happened. At least something good comes out of having an engine out. I got some footage. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the video after this little part here of how I was gonna make the video, showing me taking off, going to a spot, going to another spot, and then something happens. So we'll just roll that, and then we'll show what happened, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Hey YouTube, it's been a minute. Just collecting some footage here. I'm trying to do a little video called like my top 5 local bush plane spots. This is a fun one. Some mowed little trail in the middle of nowhere out here. Got some 360 footage, so I'm just gonna jump around, look at some different places around here, get some cool footage, not talk so much in the camera, and just kind of fly and have some fun. Okay guys, you can see off my left wing there, that's my friend's house, the yard. Kind of a unique setup, but there's 1,100 feet, plenty of room for my Firefly, more room than I have at home even. And I land here all the time. So let's watch how the landing goes. Ultralight, guys! I'm okay. So let's set the scene at the accident site. I land at my buddy's house. He's only about 3 miles from my house. I go there all the time. I've landed there dozens of times. I know exactly the setup. It's not really a runway, but he has a lot of acreage, as a lot of my friends do. There's plenty of room there. I can easily get in and out in the Firefly. And so I landed, as you saw, landed uneventfully. It turned out there was a couple of my other friends there. They're kind of partying. I think it was a Saturday night. And I stopped and talked with them for a while. I said, hey, it's getting pretty late. I better head back before it gets dark. See you later. And the rest is history. So I did my normal little pre-flight, did a little run-up, and off I go. And man, right when I took off, everything felt completely normal until about 2 seconds into flight, and the engine sputtered, and my stomach just sank. And I was like, oh man, this is not a good spot for an engine out. What am I gonna do? Well, there's nothing I could do. So all I did is fly the plane. I flew it. I kept flying. I kept my airspeed up. You can see me push the nose down. Kept my airspeed good, so I had enough energy left to flare. And my idea was, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice the plane, not myself. That's the areas I fly. And I knew if I landed in a cornfield, which I often do, it wasn't going to be good for the airplane, as you can see. But I'll be fine. You know, I can set it down the top of the corn, about 8-9 foot in the air. That's how tall the corn is. Probably below 30 miles an hour. And, you know, that's the best you can do in that situation. So even taking off out of my yard, that's usually the situation. There's beans this year, usually there's corn, and as soon as you take off, you're over corn. And you know, that's not the best situation, but it's better than trees. I would never fly in a situation where I have to land in trees. You don't put yourself in that kind of spot. We'll talk more about that. So I kept the energy up, and as you can see, I wouldn't do anything different. When I looked at the footage, I was like, wow, I'm actually a little proud of myself. Under that kind of stress, I did a nice flare. I mean, if you imagine the top of the corn was the ground level, that's what I did. I pretended like I was landing on top of the corn, and I got it as slow as I possibly could before the wing hit the corn and kind of really slowed me down. And I think it was the best case, you know, it was the best way I could have done it into the corn, which was full grown green corn, wasn't dried out yet, at least 8 foot tall, maybe 9 foot tall, real thick and heavy with all that green and the water in it. So, you know, I thought the plane was going to be a lot worse than it was, honestly. So we'll get to the damage on the plane. But as bad as the situation as it was, it couldn't have happened in a better spot, because I was at my friend's house, and there's about 5 people I knew there. They were on the accident site within probably 30 seconds. I immediately unbuckled, jumped out. I said, hey guys, I'm okay, everything's fine, don't freak out, you know, and they came and helped me. We popped the wings off and basically drug it out of the corn, and then the next day I went and got it with my trailer, no big deal. A little sad about losing the plane, I really am, because I've been flying this thing for 5 years, and I honestly just don't know if I have the time to fix it. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with it, if I'm going to sell it, if I'm going to fix it and sell it, if I'm going to fix it and keep it. But I really want to finish my kit box, and all my spare time, the little bit of spare time I have right now, is going towards a kit box. The next video I'm going to make about the kit box. A lot of people have been asking about that too, so finally got asked enough about it to make an ultralight and a kit box video. I don't know. So maybe let me know in the comments what you think I should do. Long story short, with the fuselage and everything you see here, it needs a new cage, the new chromoly structure for the main structure. I don't know if you're familiar with Colts, but basically this is a chromoly cage. Everything kind of connects to that. The tail's perfect, the wings are perfect, the engine's perfect. The fuel pump let go. What happened was the mechanical fuel pump failed, and I lost fuel pressure. First thing I did when I got it home is I pulled the carb bowl to see if there was fuel in it, and I'll show the picture now, there was a little bit of fuel in it. So it looked to me like fuel starvation. It felt to me like fuel starvation. So I think that's what happened. Did a compression check and everything, has good spark, good compression. I actually started it with the prop off, started right up, just like it normally does. Okay, so let's talk about what caused my engine out. Why did the engine quit? A lot of people are critical of these two-strokes, these 447s. Hey, it's gonna quit, it can quit anytime. I've never had really a problem. So what caused my engine to lose power? It didn't actually stall, but it basically, I was full throttle and all of a sudden it was like an idle, and you can hear in the video it's kind of puttering. It was making no thrust. So I mean, I was going down quick. I had 2 or 3 seconds from the time it quit to the time I hit the corn. Yeah, very quick. So let me show you. Okay, so the way this is set up, this is a mechanical fuel pump, and the mechanical fuel pump is connected to a pulse line of the crankcase. And that basically moves a diaphragm that pumps fuel from the fuel tank up to the carburetor here, okay? And if that isn't supplied fuel to fill this fuel bowl, the engine's not gonna run. It can't run without gas. So I do have a backup electric fuel pump, okay? And the thinking is if you had a problem, you would flip on the electric pump, which I have on a switch on the panel there, and you have some redundancies. You have a chance to save the engine or restart the engine. Well, when you have 2 or 3 seconds before you hit the ground, that wasn't an option. I was too busy keeping the plane flying to try to keep the engine running, as you can tell from the video. If I was even like 100 foot instead of 40 foot, maybe I would have went for it, but there was no way I had time to do it, unfortunately. Now, some guys will say you should be taking off with this pump running and the mechanical pump running, which I have tried in the past, but my setup, I didn't like how it ran. It ran really rich and it stumbled around if I ran both pumps. So I always took off with just the mechanical pump for the past 5 years. And I always thought if I lose power, my first thing is gonna be flipping on that electric pump to see if I get power back. Unfortunately, the way it happened to me, that just wasn't an option. So I'll show you some of the damage here. As you can see, basically what happened was the landing gear was like this, and it got pushed back. So all those tubes got crinkled back. You can see where I sit in the whole front is completely undamaged, which is great because it protected me exactly how it should. Really good design. So you can see the whole landing gear got pushed back, and it twisted the tube. It even broke a tube down here. So in my mind, this chromoly structure is junk. I would just buy a new one. You could literally buy a new one and then rebolt everything onto that new fuselage. The boom tube did have a little bit of damage too, where it ripped the bolts out right here. It's not dented or bent or anything, but you know, unless you shortened it about 1 inch, you'd probably have to get a new boom tube. But the tail surfaces, not a single thing wrong with them. Even the leading edge of the wings, which I don't have in my shop right now, they're in the trailer still. There's not even dents from corn cobs or anything. I couldn't believe it. So everything survived fairly well. Props fine, everything. It's just this chromoly structure as far as I can tell. I compression checked the engine. The engine's still healthy. I think it just quit because of this fuel pump. And why I think that is after I got it home, this pad that's below this fuel pump was saturated in fuel. So that means to me that this thing had a leak, and you know, if it has a leak, it's not going to work right. And that's what happened. I lost fuel pressure. All right, guys. Well, in conclusion, I'd just like to say it's been great making these ultralight videos over the years. I'm not sure what the future holds for me as far as ultralights go. If this is it, it's been fun. And you know, that video that I made last summer, I think it was called Real Life Flying Dream. I'll put the little link for it in the corner. That's my favorite video I ever made. It really is. It's just not me blabbing to the camera. It's just a little bit of music in the background with me doing my normal evening routine, going around all the local fields, scoping out some deer, visiting friends, and just having a good time, you know, sipping a couple gallons an hour. It's been great. I highly recommend it.